In the southwestern corner of the Arabian Peninsula, where ancient traditions meet breathtaking landscapes, there exists a land that seems suspended between myth and reality. Here, women still sing to the moon, their voices carrying across valleys that have echoed with song for thousands of years. These lunar serenades are not mere entertainment. They are prayers, celebrations, and connections to ancestors who looked upon the same celestial companion. In the labyrinthine souks, the air is thick with the scent of frankincense and myrrh. Merchants call out their wares in sing-song Arabic, their stalls overflowing with vibrant textiles, gleaming silver jewelry, and spices that have traveled the same routes as they did in the time of Solomon and Sheba. And here, amidst the organized chaos of the marketplace, you'll find something extraordinary. Vendors selling fresh camel milk, still warm, believed to have medicinal properties. Nearby, bundles of damask roses, the very flowers that have made Yemen's perfumes legendary since antiquity, perfume the air with their intoxicating sweetness. This is Yemen, a land of contradictions and wonders, a place where architecture defies gravity, where civilizations rose and fell, and where nature has crafted landscapes found nowhere else on Earth. Welcome to Yemen, the Arabia Felix of the Romans, the happy Arabia, a land largely unknown to the modern world, yet holding secrets that will leave you breathless. Our journey begins in the Wadi Dhar, where an impossible sight rises from the desert floor. Towering above the golden sands stands Shibam, a city that seems to have been transported from a future that never was. Often called the Manhattan of the desert, Shibam is home to the world's oldest skyscrapers. But these aren't steel and glass, they're made entirely of mud. These remarkable structures, some reaching 7 stories high, have stood for over 500 years. Yes, you heard that correctly. 5 centuries of scorching heat, occasional rains, and shifting sands, and yet they remain, a testament to engineering genius that modern architects still study with awe. Shibam represents one of the earliest and most perfect examples of vertical urban planning. In the 16th century, when most of the world was building outward, the people of Shibam were building upward. Why? The answer lies in the harsh realities of their environment. The city's compact vertical design served multiple purposes. The tall, interconnected buildings formed defensive walls against the flash floods that would occasionally rage through the wadi. They protected against invaders, human and animal alike, and perhaps most ingeniously, they shielded residents from the relentless winds that sweep across the desert, creating microclimates of cool air in the streets below. But how do you build a skyscraper from mud? The construction technique is deceptively simple, yet remarkably sophisticated. Local clay is mixed with water and straw. The straw acts as a binding agent, preventing the clay from cracking as it dries. This mixture is then shaped into large bricks and sun-baked until hard as stone. The walls at the base of these towers can be over 1 meter thick, gradually tapering as they rise. This distributes weight perfectly and provides extraordinary stability. Every few years, the exterior walls are replastered with a fresh layer of mud mixed with straw and painted with lime wash, which protects against erosion and gives the buildings their distinctive honey-colored glow. The sustainability of this architecture is breathtaking. The mud provides natural insulation, keeping interiors cool during the day and warm at night. The materials are entirely local and renewable. And when a building finally reaches the end of its life, it returns to the earth without leaving a trace of pollution. You'll notice the windows are small and strategically placed. This isn't an aesthetic choice. It's brilliant passive cooling design. Small windows minimize heat gain, while strategically positioned openings create cross-ventilation that pulls hot air up and out while drawing cooler air in from below. Shibam wasn't just a residential marvel, it was a crucial stop on the ancient incense route. Caravans laden with frankincense and myrrh would rest here, their merchants conducting business in the shaded streets while their camels recuperated from the desert crossing. The city's strategic location made it prosperous, a trading hub where goods and ideas from Africa, India, and the Mediterranean world intersected. Today, portions of Shibam have been converted into museums, preserving not just the architecture but the way of life. Traditional homes remain, their different floors serving distinct purposes. Ground floors for animals and storage, middle floors for daily living, and upper floors reserved for entertaining guests and enjoying the cooler evening air. As the sun sets over Shibam, casting long shadows between the mud towers, you can almost hear the echoes of caravan bells and the calls of merchants from centuries past. From the desert floor, we ascend to the Haramat Plateau, where the landscape transforms dramatically. Here, sheer cliffs plunge thousands of feet, and the earth itself seems to have been sculpted by giants. The Algerine houses cling to these cliff faces like eagles' nests. In this stark environment, there are no rivers, no obvious water sources, only stone and more stone. Yet somehow life persists. The rare patches of greenery that do appear seem almost miraculous, fed by morning dew and the occasional rains that the porous rock collects in hidden underground chambers. But perhaps nowhere is human adaptation more astonishing than in the villages that seem to defy the very laws of physics. Consider Wadi Dhar, where the village appears to grow directly from the mountain itself. Stone houses rise 100 feet above the valley floor, perched on outcroppings that seem impossibly precarious. These aren't modern constructions. They're centuries old, built by people who understood the shade of granite, the patterns of wind, and the movement of water through rock better than any engineer with a degree. The adaptation evident in these villages is extraordinary. Roads don't run through the valleys, they run along the mountains, carved into cliff faces, connecting communities that exist in 3 dimensions rather than 2. Children grow up knowing how to navigate paths that would make most people dizzy just looking at them. The houses themselves are masterpieces of stone masonry. Each stone is carefully selected and placed without mortar, relying on precise fitting and the natural weight of the structure to maintain stability. The walls are thick enough to provide insulation yet arranged to capture every breeze that might provide relief from the heat. Why build in such challenging locations? The answer is survival. These elevated positions provided security from raiders and wild animals. They positioned communities above the flood zones, and critically, they left the precious, rare flatland below free for agriculture. As we continue our journey, we arrive near the city of Taiz, where Jabal Sabir, the mountain of patience, rises to dominate the landscape. At over 3,000 meters, it is one of Yemen's highest peaks, and it is special for reasons that go far beyond altitude. Jabal Sabir is a living museum of human ingenuity spanning 2 millennia. Carved into its slopes are agricultural terraces that were ancient when Rome was young. These aren't simple steps cut into a hillside. They're a sophisticated hydraulic system that captures, channels, and conserves every precious drop of rainfall. The terraces follow the natural contours of the mountain with mathematical precision. Each level is carefully angled to slow water runoff, allowing it to soak into the soil. Stone channels direct excess water from upper terraces to lower ones, ensuring nothing is wasted. Underground aqueducts, some dating back 2,000 years, carry water from high-altitude springs to communities below. This is agricultural engineering that allowed civilizations to thrive with minimal rainfall. While the rest of the Arabian Peninsula remained largely barren, the mountains of Yemen bloomed with gardens, but Jabal Sabir holds another treasure, one far more elusive and precious than any crop. Somewhere in these rugged peaks prowls one of the world's rarest predators, the Arabian leopard. With fewer than 200 individuals remaining in the wild, the Arabian leopard is critically endangered. Yemen hosts one of the last viable populations of these magnificent cats. Smaller than their African cousins but no less formidable, they are perfectly adapted to this harsh mountain environment. The leopards hunt at night, their spotted coats providing perfect camouflage among the rocks and shadows. They prey on mountain goats, hyrax, and the occasional unfortunate domestic animal that strays too far from the village. They can survive for long periods without water, obtaining moisture from their prey, an essential adaptation in this arid landscape. To the communities of Jabal Sabir, the leopards are far more than predators. They occupy a special place in local folklore. They're seen as guardians of the mountain, spirits of strength and resilience. Old men still tell stories of leopards that spared shepherds who showed them respect, and of hunters who were cursed after killing one. There's a saying among the mountain people: the leopard doesn't take what it doesn't need. It's a philosophy that reflects not just the animal's hunting behavior, but an entire worldview about living in balance with a harsh environment. Sadly, habitat destruction and declining prey populations threaten even this last refuge. Conservation efforts are underway, but they face enormous challenges. Yet as long as Jabal Sabir's terraces remain green and its springs continue to flow, there is hope that the spotted shadow slipping between rocks at dusk will endure. In the southwestern mountains, perched on a steep rock face that plunges into clouds below, sits Al-Hajjara, a village that seems less built than dreamed into existence. From a distance, it's difficult to tell where the rock ends and the village begins. The stone structures rise in perfect harmony with the cliff face, as if the mountain itself decided to become architecture. The buildings of Al-Hajjara are typically 4 to 7 stories high, each floor serving a specific purpose in the family's life. The ground floor houses livestock, goats, sheep, and chickens, whose body heat helps warm the structure during cold mountain nights. The second floor stores grain, dried foods, and supplies. The third and fourth floors are living quarters, with the third floor typically reserved for women and children, offering both security and privacy. The upper floors host reception rooms for guests, and crucially defensive positions that once served to protect the village from attack. The roofs are flat, serving as communal spaces where families socialize in the cool evening air, and where in times past, defenders could move between buildings without exposing themselves to enemy fire. The village's layout is a maze, deliberately so. Narrow alleyways twist and turn unpredictably. Staircases appear suddenly, carved directly into the rock, leading to different levels of the village. Some passages are so narrow that 2 people must turn sideways to pass each other. This complex design served multiple purposes. It confused potential attackers, giving every advantage to defenders who knew the layout intimately. It maximized the use of limited space on the cliff face, and it created countless pockets of shade, essential in a landscape where the sun can be merciless. But perhaps the most striking feature of Al-Hajjara is how it appears to emerge directly from the living rock. The master builders who created this place understood something profound. They weren't conquering nature, they were collaborating with it. They worked with the contours of the cliff, the natural lines of the stone, the patterns of water drainage and wind flow. Walking through Al-Hajjara at dawn, when mist fills the valleys below and the first light touches the highest buildings, you experience something almost spiritual. The village seems suspended between earth and sky, between past and present, between the solid reality of stone and the ethereal quality of dreams. This is architecture as poetry, functionality as art. Every stone, every window, every winding pathway tells a story of human adaptation, creativity, and an unshakable determination to thrive in a place that seems designed to resist human habitation. We descend now to Taiz, Yemen's cultural capital and one of its most densely populated cities. Rising above the urban sprawl stands the citadel of Cairo, Al-Qahira, a fortress that has defined the city's identity for centuries. The citadel wasn't merely military infrastructure, it was the beating heart of a civilization. Within these walls, governance happened, justice was dispensed, and the future was planned. The administrative buildings housed scholars and bureaucrats who maintained the complex machinery of state. The military quarters were extensive, with armories stocked with swords, spears, and later firearms. Training grounds where soldiers drilled were positioned to have commanding views of the approaches to the city. The fortress was designed to withstand extended sieges, with wells, grain storage, and even gardens within the walls. But Al-Qahira was more than fortification. It hosted ceremonies that reinforced social bonds and religious observances. Markets operated within its walls, creating a bustling economy. Mosques provided spiritual guidance and schooling. The citadel had some of Yemen's finest educational institutions, producing generations of scholars, poets, and thinkers. This tradition of learning has given Taiz its character. Even today, it's known for its educated and activist population, people who engage passionately with ideas and aren't afraid to challenge authority. The spirit of the fortress, resilient, intellectual, independent, lives on in the city below. From the rooftops of Al-Qahira, the view is spectacular. The city spreads in every direction, a sea of buildings flowing around the mountain's base. Beyond, valleys cut through the landscape like rivers of air, and mountains rise in successive waves toward the horizon. Standing here, you understand why this location was chosen. Whoever held this fortress controlled not just Taiz but the entire region. It was about more than military might. It was about identity. The fortress said, "We are here, we endure, we will not be moved." That message resonates still, through the stones beneath your feet and the wind that has carried it for centuries. From the mountains, we journey to the desert edge, to the ancient city of Marib, capital of the Sabaean kingdom, and home to one of history's most legendary rulers. Marib has been continuously inhabited for over 3,000 years. To walk its ancient streets is to walk where civilizations rose to greatness, where merchants from Rome, India, and Egypt once traded, and where one of history's most powerful women held court. The Queen of Sheba, known in Arabic as Bilqis, ruled from Marib around the 10th century BCE. The biblical and Quranic accounts of her meeting with King Solomon have captivated imaginations for millennia. But she was far more than legend. She was the ruler of a sophisticated civilization that controlled the frankincense and myrrh trade, the petroleum economy of the ancient world. The source of Marib's power and prosperity was its greatest engineering achievement, the Great Dam of Marib. This structure, over 600 meters long and 15 meters high, was one of the ancient world's engineering marvels. The dam captured the seasonal monsoon rains that would otherwise rush uselessly through the wadi and out into the desert. Instead, this water was channeled through an intricate system of sluice gates and canals to irrigate vast agricultural lands. The dam transformed a desert region into a garden, capable of supporting a population of hundreds of thousands. For nearly 1,000 years, the dam stood, maintained, and expanded by successive generations. Its collapse, around 575 CE, was so catastrophic that it's mentioned in Islamic texts as a divine punishment and warning. The failure sent walls of water crashing through the valley, destroying the irrigation system and the agricultural base that supported the civilization. The population scattered, migrating throughout Arabia. Some historians believe this diaspora helped spread the agricultural and engineering knowledge that would later flourish in the Islamic Golden Age. Today, the ruins of the Great Dam still stand, weathered stone that once controlled the destiny of kingdoms. Modern engineers marvel at its construction. Enormous stones fitted with precision, a design that understood water pressure and fluid dynamics without the benefit of modern mathematics. Near the dam, you can still see the remains of the ancient sluice gates, the temples dedicated to the moon god, and the foundations of palaces where Bilqis might have walked. Marib is being excavated still, yielding new secrets with each dig, reminding us that the Queen of Sheba's kingdom was no fairy tale but a civilization of sophistication and power. After so much stone and sand, we now journey to a place that seems to belong to a different world entirely. Jabal Bura, the green gem of Yemen, is a forested mountain range where moisture-laden winds from the Red Sea meet highland peaks, creating conditions unlike anywhere else in Arabia. Here, rainfall is significantly higher than in the surrounding regions. Moss covers rocks in thick velvet carpets. Ancient trees create canopies that filter sunlight into cathedral-like beams. Streams actually flow year-round, something almost unimaginable in the Arabian Peninsula. The ecological significance of Jabal Bura cannot be overstated. It's a biodiversity hotspot, home to species found nowhere else on Earth. And among its most charismatic residents are troops of hamadryas baboons. These remarkable primates are perfectly adapted to the mountainous terrain. Males sport impressive silver-white manes that give them an almost leonine appearance. They live in complex social groups called troops, sometimes numbering over 100 individuals, organized in a sophisticated hierarchy of clans and families. The vocal calls of hamadryas baboons are extraordinary. A repertoire of barks, grunts, screams, and roars that echo through the forest. At dawn, the males produce resonant calls that carry for miles, announcing their presence to other troops and strengthening bonds within their own group. It's a sound both primitive and profoundly moving, a reminder that we share this planet with other intelligent social beings. The baboons play a crucial role in the forest ecosystem. They're seed dispersers, eating fruits and carrying the seeds to new locations in their droppings. They control insect populations. They even serve as an early warning system for other animals, their alarm calls alerting deer and birds to the presence of predators. Local people call them the guardians of the forest and monks of the mountains, observing their daily routines with a mixture of respect and amusement. There's recognition that the baboons belong here in a way that goes beyond mere coexistence. They're part of what makes Jabal Bura what it is. In the late afternoon, when troops gather on rock outcroppings to groom and socialize before settling for the night, you witness something timeless. These same species in these same mountains have watched empires rise and fall, have outlasted kingdoms and dynasties, have persisted through everything history could throw at them. They're survivors like Yemen itself. We arrive now in Sana'a, quite possibly the world's oldest continuously inhabited city, with a history stretching back 2,500 years. Islamic tradition holds that it was founded by Shem, the son of Noah himself. While that might be mythological, it speaks to the city's antiquity. Sana'a was ancient when Muhammad was born. It was already a major city when Christ walked the earth. To step into old Sana'a is to step into a living work of art. The buildings, multi-storied tower houses, are architectural masterpieces, decorated with intricate geometric patterns in white gypsum that stand out against the reddish-brown brick. The designs are so elaborate, so reminiscent of icing on a cake, that the city has earned the affectionate nickname, the Gingerbread City. The narrow streets twist and turn in organic patterns that follow no grid, no rational plan, because they weren't planned. They grew, organically, over centuries, shaped by the daily needs of residents, the flow of water, the path of the sun. Every building is both functional and beautiful, proving these aren't contradictory goals. The architecture solves practical problems: ventilation, water collection, defense, privacy, while creating beauty that nourishes the soul. The iconic Great Mosque of Sana'a, built in the 7th century during the lifetime of the Prophet Muhammad, still stands at the city's heart. Its courtyard has witnessed 2,500 years of prayer, scholarship, and community gathering. In 2008, UNESCO recognized Old Sana'a as a World Heritage Site in danger, threatened by urban development, conflict, and the pressures of modernity. International efforts to preserve this irreplaceable treasure continue, racing against time to protect what thousands of years and countless wars couldn't destroy. Walking through Sana'a at dusk, when the call to prayer echoes from multiple minarets, when the setting sun paints the gypsum decorations gold, when the streets fill with people heading home from the souk, you feel the weight of history and the persistence of culture. This isn't a museum. It's a living city where people are born, grow up, fall in love, raise families, and die in the same buildings their ancestors did 10 generations ago. It's proof that tradition and modernity can coexist, that beauty and functionality aren't enemies, and that architecture can be a language that speaks across centuries. Just outside Sana'a, rising from a rocky outcrop like something from a fairy tale, stands Dar Al-Hajar, the Rock Palace, one of Yemen's most iconic structures. Built in the 1930s as a summer residence for Imam Yahya, the palace represents the pinnacle of traditional Yemeni architecture and aesthetics. But what makes it extraordinary isn't just its beauty. It's how seamlessly it blends with the natural rock formation it stands upon. The palace appears to grow from the stone itself. The architects understood that great buildings don't dominate their surroundings. They complete them. The 5 stories rise in perfect proportion to the rock base, creating a composition where natural and human-made elements form a unified whole. The design is masterful. Underground wells provide water drawn from aquifers deep below. Strategically placed windows ensure every room receives natural light and ventilation. Arched doorways frame views of the surrounding landscape like living paintings. The interior showcases the finest of Yemeni aesthetics. Geometric patterns in the stained glass windows cast colored light across stone floors. Carved wooden screens allow privacy while permitting airflow. Every detail is considered. Nothing is accidental. The upper floors once served as reception rooms where the imam would meet with tribal leaders, scholars, and foreign dignitaries. From these rooms, you look out across the valley to the mountains beyond, a view that encompasses both the grandeur of nature and the achievements of human civilization. Today, Dar Al-Hajar functions as a museum, offering visitors a glimpse into royal life while showcasing the architectural principles that made Yemen's traditional buildings so effective and beautiful. From the top of the palace, especially in the late afternoon when the sun begins its descent, the view is breathtaking. The valley spreads out below, dotted with villages and agricultural terraces. Mountains rise in the distance, and you stand in a building that proves architecture can be practical, beautiful, historically rooted, and utterly unique, all at once, all. Our journey's final chapter brings us to Socotra, an island where nature's imagination runs wild. We begin high above the Hajir Mountains, jagged peaks shrouded in morning mist, their ancient stone faces rising abruptly from the sea. Here, clouds swirl around the summits, and the air is cool and crisp, carrying the scent of salt and wildflowers. As we descend, waterfalls tumble down lush green cliffs, ribbons of water sparkling in the sunlight, feeding pockets of rare forest that cling to the rocks. The sound of rushing water echoes through hidden valleys where moss and ferns thrive in the cool spray. At the foot of the mountains, the landscape opens to beaches of powdery white sea sand. So soft it slips between your toes like silk. Here, turquoise waves break gently on the shore, and the horizon stretches endlessly, blending sky and water in a seamless blue. Walking these beaches, you find yourself surrounded by life found nowhere else. The dragon's blood tree stands sentinel on the plateau, its thick trunk and umbrella crown casting deep shade, its crimson sap legendary for centuries. These ancient trees, shaped by wind and time, are living symbols of Socotra's resilience. Among the rocks and forests, rare birds call and lizards dart between sunlit stones. Local people move quietly through this landscape, tending goats and gathering herbs, their lives woven into the rhythms of the island. Every step reveals a new wonder: bottle trees in bloom, butterflies with iridescent wings, and the distant splash of a waterfall. In the canyons, sunlight filters through limestone caves, painting the stone in gold and red. Pools of clear water reflect the sky, and the air is cool and still, a hidden world carved by time and water. As the day ends, we return to the sea. Dolphins leap and spin in the shallows, their sleek bodies catching the last light of the sun. Behind them, the mountains glow in the evening, and the sand turns to silver beneath the sky. Socotra is a place where mountains, waterfalls, and sea sand meet in harmony, a living testament to nature's creativity and endurance. Its beauty is fragile, its wonders irreplaceable. As we leave this island, we carry with us the memory of misty peaks, cool waterfalls, and the softest sand beneath our feet. Thank you for joining us on this journey through Yemen and Socotra. May these images inspire you to seek out the world's hidden marvels, to cherish the wild places, and to remember that even the most remote corners of our planet hold stories worth telling. Until next time, safe travels.